Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Crypto Nobes. Today we have something a bit different for you guys. We have a very special guest on the channel. Please welcome Wes Levitt, Head of Strategy at Theta Labs. Wes, how are you and welcome to the channel.
Doing great. Thanks for having me today.
I really appreciate you coming onto the channel to answer a few questions, so let's jump straight into it. There's going to be a lot of new people coming into this crypto space that are unfamiliar with Theta, so let's start off with the basics. What is Theta Network, what are its goals and its vision, and what major problems that the world suffers today can it help solve?
Okay, sure. A lot to unpack there. I'll take a stab at it here. So, what Theta Network is a decentralized network for delivering video or really any type of data. Uh, you can think of it as a decentralized version of the content delivery networks that you have today. So, we're today use Akamai or AWS, which is a central point that distributes out to from a platform to the user watching, say, a given video. With Theta Network, you can watch that video relayed from a local peer nearby instead of always having to pull from a centralized place. So what we're trying to solve, the most primary or the primary thing we're trying to solve is a problem we ourselves had with our own startup video platform, which is high CDN costs, where we were spending a lot of money distributing video, HD video and VR video to users around the world. And oftentimes, you might be sending it to 100 users in the same city across the world. It's very costly a platform for us to do that. So what we do instead is, if all these users are watching on Theta Network, maybe we distribute that stream once or twice or three times, and then the rest of the peers nearby can pull that locally from the few users that already download the video. So it's less costly to us, and the users that are relaying on that side actually can earn Theta tokens as a reward for contributing to this network.
Can you explain why the financial system we have today is failing us and why we need a change?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways you could take that. I guess so. Focus more first on what we see here at Theta, and so when we say financial system in the context of what we're building at Theta, it's uh, the idea that if you want to pay for these services or you want to use something like a content delivery network, you have two or maybe three options depending on where you're based at to pay one of the very large CDN companies, strike a service level agreement with them where you have a contract that is going to be you're going to be locked into, and there really is no other option. And so the way we see it is this is a way for companies like that we basically what we would have wanted as a startup video platform, a way to use a network where it's more of a pay as you go. You can reward users to relay videos on the network as opposed to being locked into paying Amazon or paying Google or a small number of tech giants. And I think that kind of that concept resonates across a lot of crypto, even though it's not our use case exactly. A lot of folks have the same concerns about being forced to use only one of a few different financial institutions they go with and not really having any control in their own hands. And I guess a theme you see repeating a lot in crypto is just wanting to bring more choices and more of the value back to the user as opposed to continuing to accrue at the top of the pyramid for a few big companies.
Now, for those that aren't familiar, Theta has a big update just around the corner, and that is Mainnet 3.0. For those that are not sure, what is it and why is it such a big milestone for everyone involved, and what is next for the project?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to give a little background, part of what drives our network and allows it data video to be relayed so effectively is there's tens of thousands of users around the world running our edge node software, which basically lets you jump in as a relayer node and contribute your bandwidth and relay videos to other users on the network, sort of like the worker of the network there. And part of us being able to create Theta into something that is big enough scale that even the biggest video platforms in the world can use that is even though tens of thousands is a big number, it's not big enough. It needs to be larger. So what Theta Mainnet 3.0, a big focus of it is allowing TFuel, the transactional currency of the Theta protocol, to be staked to these edge nodes that are running it. So there's just a continual incentive for users to be always on, always contributing to this network, and to attract more and more users to run these nodes. Because once we scale up to where it's 100,000 rather than 30,000, or maybe even beyond that, maybe 200, 300,000 edge nodes, it starts to be at a big enough scale they can go to some of the biggest enterprises and saying, this is a network you can plug into, and it can actually meet the demand of your 100 million MAUs on your platform.
Recently, NFTs have been catching a lot of people's attention, and it's even been catching some of the biggest names in the world. What are Theta's plans for NFTs, and what makes NFTs so special?
Yeah, so most of your users are probably generally familiar with NFTs, a token that's provably scarce and can't have any more created of it. So really interesting for unique items, anything of value like a piece of art, a concert ticket that can't be duplicated. And what we'd always considered NFTs on our roadmap, but really got us driving forward and moving up when we were getting into that was because we have a video platform with a lot of content creators. The streamers, the content creators themselves on our platform, are very excited about the idea of having NFTs because they have a fan base already. They have people that spend money to subscribe to their channel, and they're very easy to understand why this is someone who would want to issue an NFT for their community, basically. So after the several dozen of them are pounding on the door saying you need to have NFTs on Theta so we can start using this, we realized like the demand is already there. We need to build this to meet the demand. So some of the individual streamers on Theta TV are launching their own NFTs coming soon, and we're also partnering with some larger brands as well. The first Theta drop with World Poker Tour, WPT, is happening on the 13th, depending on when this airs. Probably it already happened here, but this and a few others that are coming up are really exciting. And so we see a couple different avenues here. The larger brands that see this as a way to monetize their popular global brands already, like a World Poker Tour, but also individual streamers that are building their own fan base and their own loyal community. Sees a really great engagement tool for them as well.
Now, with Twitch and YouTube being the two biggest platforms in the world for streaming and video content, is Theta pushing to be bigger than them or work with them?
It's definitely more to work with them because it's a little confusing sometimes because we have our own video platform, but it's built infrastructure to support our own platform. And so the Theta infrastructure of delivering video on this decentralized network, that infrastructure piece is open source, and we are encouraging any platform to build on it. So if we can work with a large partner like Twitch to use Theta infrastructure under the hood, basically on their site, that's more important to us than the fact that in some ways it's competitive with Theta TV. It's not that uncommon in the tech world where you have Google and Facebook are sort of frenemies where they compete on one side, but they're working together and allowing each other's apps to integrate on the other side. And it is complicated sometimes, but this is definitely one of those cases where we see it as a lot bigger opportunity to partner with them than to compete.
Now that is very interesting, to be fair, because the last major platform that we saw try and compete with either of those two platforms, it was Mixer. For those that weren't familiar, it was brought out by Microsoft, and Mixer, it didn't really bring anything to the table and it ended up just pretty much failing. Theta is a bit different in my opinion. We have an incredible high demand for Twitch and YouTube, and it's not going to go away anytime soon with gaming, etc, etc. So overall, if Theta are looking to work with either of these platforms, that will be absolutely huge for the space.
Yeah, we agree. There's something to having a model where the users are more engaged with the creators, and launching NFTs is just one more step in that, where it sort of indirectly was the case if you could earn TFuel for sharing video and you earned it, but it's not directly tied to the streamer you're watching, meaning you can get that no matter what streamer you're watching it to. So it is an engagement tool, but not one that the creators really can see straightforward how that affects them or why it matters to them specifically. But with the NFTs, it's almost like the version 2 of that, where you watch this person stream, you might earn this NFT that's unique to this streamer. If that's your favorite streamer, you're not going to just watch anyone else's stream to get some NFT of some streamer you never heard of. You're a big fan of this one, you're going to watch their stream and keep coming back to win that drop. And that's the exact thing that's going through the heads of the streamers themselves that are wanting to launch NFTs.
So where do you think Theta and the crypto space will be in the next 5 years, and what would it take to get there?
Yeah, the critical thing that we think a lot about is because what we're building is in a lot of ways, one side of it's a B2B type of product because we're uh, on the technical side, you integrate data infrastructure as a platform. So you have to be working with the big platforms and the tech companies that are pushing a lot of data. Uh, you have to work with them directly for them to integrate our SDK and integrate the Theta blockchain. So a lot of it comes down to, Theta's future is tied to generally what the enterprise world thinks about crypto and blockchain in general. In our experience in 2017 and 2018, it was a very warm reception from a lot of big enterprises. And then when crypto's reputation, for whatever reason, took a dive for a few years, very different reception. Even though the price of Bitcoin, for example, shouldn't directly affect whether a company wants to use Theta to lower their data delivery costs. It shouldn't matter, but it absolutely does because it's not, there may be one product manager and one engineer on a team that are very excited about integrating Theta, but they have to get 5 levels of approval in order for this to go integrated in their company. And if that goes through several layers of managers who just read a bunch of headlines about how crypto is a scam, now their impression is really bad of it, and they say we don't want to touch anything crypto now, then that idea dies. That integration dies in the before it even gets done there. So it is very important that, just as a crypto space, we emphasize all the positive things it can bring to businesses and to end users, and highlight that, and try to eliminate the scams and all the bad PR and that kind of thing, because it hurts the adoption of all the legitimate companies too. Every time there's a big crypto scam, because that makes it that much harder for a big company's legal department to say, sure, let's jump in bed with this blockchain company.
What is the biggest problem that the Theta network faces today, and how are the team trying to solve it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think kind of related to what we're talking about the enterprise adoption, the most difficult thing I would say is trying to balance the needs of uh, the decentralized community that's running the Theta nodes and are actually kind of like the engine of this network, balancing that with or fitting that into what's needed from large companies that could be the end users of this. So, there's different incentives in play, and just some very obvious ones like how much should an edge node worker earn for a piece of data that they put on there. Of course, the edge network wants to be paid as much as possible and guaranteed at this level. And an enterprise that might use it on the other side is going to say, no, it needs to be half that. So it's a balancing act, just like any two-sided market. You have a supplier and the demand of these services, and you got to find a way for those two to find each other and meet in the middle. And a similar kind of thing, like with balancing on the technical side, exactly what level of decentralization is appropriate at the time. Like, is it time to start handing more of the governance over to the community? That's the goal, and that's what obviously the community wants. But at the same time, if that's done too early and something goes wrong because, let's say, there's a dispute about how this upgrade gets made or something like that, that's the kind of thing that can scare off very quickly a large tech company that wants some kind of certainty about how this network's going to act. And so we're trying to balance how do we make both sides happy and move forward in a direction that leads to more adoption, without leaving one side so dissatisfied that it's not a working network anymore.
Taking a deeper look at staking, should new Theta holders consider staking, and how does it benefit both the holder and the network, and is there any risk involved?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Every user should be staking. You can run your own node, which is ideal from a network standpoint, just to have more decentralized nodes running it, as opposed to a small number that's more vulnerable to a network outage or something like that. But you can also stake to any other node that allows you to delegate to them, and we're rolling out some new features in the next coming months that'll make that even easier. Some designated nodes where people can stake to, basically like a community run node to delegate to. There aren't any risks to staking, at least not not in the sense of like a losing your tokens kind of thing. There's no slashing, although that may be implemented in the future, but only in the cases where obvious malicious behavior. Like if you're running a node and you program your node to vote dishonestly, very obviously, like you are doing something dishonest, then there could be something like that. But there's no risk to simply your node wasn't up 100% of the time, therefore you got slashed. Nothing like that. We also designed staking in a way that even if a node is hacked or for some reason it goes down and you can't access it anymore, as long as you control the wallet that you stake those tokens from, you can always pull your tokens back to that wallet. And that's the only place they can ever be pulled back from. So like say I'm running my Guardian node, that's what you stake to in the cloud, and someone somehow manages to get a hold of my node and they have access to it now. They can't just remove the stake tokens from the node. There literally is no code, nothing in the code that permits that. The only thing they could do in theory is to unstake the tokens and send them back to you, to the wallet you control. And that's all by design, of course, because no one's going to stake if there's a chance you could lose all your tokens. The risk versus reward is just not there. So yeah, there's no risk to you as a token holder, which is why we encourage everyone to stake if you have the ability to.
Other than staking, how can the Theta community get involved with helping the movement of the Theta network?
So even if you don't have Theta tokens you want to stake, if you just want to get involved, the edge node that I referred to, which is sort of like the worker relayer of the network, you don't need to have any tokens to use that. You just download the software and just start running it, and you'll just start relaying video that other users in your area, or if they're trying to watch a given stream, you can your node is able to download that and relay it to other users. You'll just start doing it automatically with that software open. So there's no entry requirement. There's nothing like that. You can just download it and start earning TFuel tokens for doing that immediately. And that's just continues to get back to, our goal for mainnet 3.0 is just getting more and more users running that software. Just run it in the background when you're not using your computer. If you leave it on at night, whatever, doesn't matter. You'll be contributing your bandwidth to the network.
For those that want to find out more information about Theta Network and staking, what website would they go to?
Yeah, you can get to it for the Theta website, but the easiest place is to go to the Theta docs page, which I can provide a link to, share to your users after we conclude in the show notes so that everyone can go right there. And that's also a great resource in general, just to learn the basics of what Theta is, how it works, different ways you can get involved, and all the information you need to understand how to run the different nodes too.
How did your cryptocurrency journey begin?
Yeah, so I guess the very first time I got involved in crypto, it's very early, but I only dabbled in a bit in, I want to say about 2013, 2014, in one of the first bull runs. Like a lot of people, just found it poking around on Reddit and bought a few Bitcoin, and then, didn't really get it at that time because the infrastructure wasn't there. It was a lot harder unless you were a really insightful person, it was harder to see the vision of how it was going to end up like it was today. And then over the years, kind of bounced in and out of it. Bought a few Ethereum at $10. Unfortunately, thought $20 was going to be the peak, and so didn't hold them for long. But when I really got in and started taking it seriously, it was when I was in business school at UC Berkeley, because the computer science department there is a big crypto hub. And even there where I was at business school, around 2017 timeframe, and even before that, 2016, it really started taking over a lot of everything that we were chatting about, Zool, and we kind of really started growing. And, part of it for me was I was taking a few of the computer science classes, I'm not a developer myself, and seeing the people who really understood it at a technical level well, and they were backing it up and saying, no, there really is something here. And so I ended up, through a contact there at school, he introduced me to one of the firms that invested in the seed round of Theta Labs, actually. And so that's how I got to know Mitch and the team, ended up joining full-time with Theta in February of 2018. Feels like it hasn't been that long, but I guess 3.5 years now. But yeah, the crypto space, time kind of loses its meaning. There's so much craziness going around.
100%.
And it wasn't my career before. I worked in real estate and finance before, but it was kind of like the perfect lucky timing that I was in the right place at the right time to see that there was so many smart people that were looking to move full time into this because they saw the promise of it there. And so that's when I started changing my mindset of, this is an interesting thing I've played around with a little bit over the years, to this actually could get enough resources and an investment that it could really start changing the way people do business and the way people use apps, that kind of thing.
With so many new people coming into the crypto space for the very first time, what advice would you give to someone that has never experienced cryptocurrency before?
Sure. I think a few things right off the top of my head. First of all, buy some Bitcoin and Ethereum, just because it doesn't even have to be a lot. Obviously, they're divisible down to 18 decimals. Just buy something so that you start following the market, and then understand, and then withdraw it to your own wallet and start sending it around, understanding how the blockchain actually works. Don't just buy it on an exchange because you want it to go up in price. Like, actually understand how it works, and why it's so interesting. And the first time I sent it to someone in another country, and a couple minutes later they said it arrived, they had it. That was, that's a powerful moment, like as your crypto journey is beginning, when you realize this would have taken days if I tried to send this some other way. Educate yourself as much as possible. Don't fall for scams. There's sadly a lot of people that have lost a lot of money from scams. A lot of people in Theta community as well, from people making phishing sites and impersonating us as Theta team members. So, I hate to see that happen to someone and that turns them off to crypto forever. So, learn as much as you can and keep your guard up. And beyond that, there's no degree in crypto. There's no someone who's going to certify you that all of us just started learning about it because it was an interesting subject to us, and just dived in and learned as much as you can. So don't wait for anyone to give you permission. Just dive in and learn as much as you can.
What are you looking forward to the most surrounding Theta, and why?
Yeah, I think what I look forward to the most, even though, as I mentioned earlier, it's a complicated one, but I look forward to most as governance of the protocol rolls out to community governance, so that all the stakeholders are basically voting as on the way the network is upgraded in the future and the direction the protocol takes. We took a different approach at Theta Labs. We're a Delaware C Corp. We came out of a startup. So it's a different path than some protocols to start off fully decentralized from day one. And there's trade-offs either way. There's obviously benefits to being fully decentralized from day one, but it's more difficult to get a fledgling platform off the ground when there's, there could be divisiveness within the team. So we took a different path. Ours is more structured in the beginning with around our team, and then we roll it out to more and more community governance and away from our team as time goes on. And as the protocol's got its legs under it, and you can take the training wheels off, so to speak. But I'm looking forward to getting to that point, because I do think it's getting to that time where you have people that have put a lot of time and effort into the protocol, and if shown that they have a vested interest in this. And I think that those people need to have a say in how the protocol runs out. And it's better in the long run that you have a lot of different stakeholders doing this, rather than just a few.
What question do you wish people asked you more about Theta?
Yeah, I wish more users would ask how they can start building and getting involved in Theta, and picking up new ways to use the Theta protocol, because we have our vision for how Theta turns out, but there's a lot of really talented folks in the Theta community and crypto community in general that have just as good ideas as our team does, and we think it's better for the protocol and the ecosystem to grow if we get input from them and see that happen as well. I get it, it's tough because there's 1,000 different crypto projects, and there's only so much time you can and your own resources you can contribute to one. So it's a little bit of it's hard to fight for the attention when you have so many others great protocols being built as well. But I want to see more folks trying to get involved and build their dApps or build other pieces that can integrate with Theta protocol.
And for the people that strongly believe in Theta and don't think that they can do anything, what is the best thing that they could do?
Yeah, I guess if you're not a developer yourself, which I get, I'm not either, and I wish I could be doing more of the building, but I don't have the experience. I can't code for anything more than a basic Python script. So yeah, for me, it's about trying to find out the use cases and inform other development communities so that they just may not be aware of Theta, or like I said, there's a lot of competing protocols. They may just never heard of it or too busy. So I try to show off what it has been built on Theta so they can see the potential and hopefully win over some of those developers to Theta. So we run a Theta hackathon a few times a year. Last one just ended a few weeks ago. And I'm seeing more and more developers start to jump to Theta for the first time. And those kind of things, while not everyone needs to launch their own hackathon for Theta, of course, but those kind of things are ways that you can attract developers to Theta, even if you aren't one yourself.
What would you say is your proudest moment in crypto?
Mm-hmm. I think it's probably related to some of these hackathon projects, and in general, just when I see things in the community that have been built up. Because, yeah, like I said, I joined in February of 2018 when no one had heard of Theta, and while there was an interesting community, there really wasn't a lot being built around it. And so seeing that evolve over the years and seeing some people that were just casually interested in Theta and got more into it, and then they start building their own tools, or they build a staking pool, or their own block explorer that serves Theta blockchain, those kind of things. Those are really exciting for me to see. And I like seeing it being built into something beyond just what Theta Labs as the team has done. It's really a community and an ecosystem making that happen.
When you get the opportunity, where is the first place that you are going to go on holiday?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot since it's been quite a while since a vacation. But I think I'd probably say Barcelona, because I recently relocated to Amsterdam. And it's been quite a few years, but I did visit Barcelona once a few years ago. It's one of my favorite cities I've ever visited. So as soon as it's safe and can travel and want to get out of rainy Amsterdam for a few days, then definitely head down to Barcelona.
And a couple more questions to finish it off. What's the longest amount of time you've gone without sleep, and why?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd say probably the longest have been, there's definitely been a few 24-hour periods back in undergrad when, procrastinated on studying for an exam and realized that there was no way to study all the material for that in that amount of time without just powering through the entire night before the exam. Results were mixed. It's not the best way to do it. If I could go back, I would just study for it like a regular student. But yeah, powered through some entire days, making sure that I had crammed for the 8 a.m. exam.
And finally, the last question: is Theta Network and the crypto space here to stay?
Yeah. See, we from the start we kind of looked at this as what we're building is something that's, we know it has merit because it's solved our own problem, but we realized from the start it's a tricky thing to navigate, building a decentralized network and marrying it to systems that enterprises have been using in a centralized way for many years. It's not simple at all. And while we would have liked this, it's just something that 6 months we pop it out and then it all comes together. We realize that it's very, very complicated. It's tied into the question of where crypto fits into enterprise systems in general. And it's going to take time, but we're in it for the long haul. And with the way the crypto markets have gone, we're well funded, essentially indefinitely at this point, and are well suited. So even if this takes many years before we get to a place where it's normal for a Fortune 500 company to integrate a public blockchain to use for some of their services, even if that takes a while, we're keeping our eye on that prize, and we'll be here for years to come, making sure that vision we have for Theta adoption gets there.
Amazing. Wes, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be on the channel and answer a few questions. I really do appreciate it.
Yep, nice chatting with you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy anything that I brought to you today, don't forget to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, or share the video for more, as it really helps the algorithm. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Peace.